What's up, humans? Welcome back to the Human Reviews channel, and today we are starting our year-end series of videos. The first video in this series is going to be my I can't speak. The first video in this series is, of course, my favorite album of the year, which, of course, as you can tell by the title, is The Beggar by Swans. This album came out on the 23rd of June. It is 11 tracks, 2 hours. And this thing is amazing. I'm doing this video as a one-parter, most likely. Who knows, I maybe might change my mind while editing. So if that's the case, then ignore what I'm saying. But, yeah, I am just very excited to get into this. We are just going to jump straight into it with track 1, The Parasite.
Breathe my breath into your head.
Most of this video is going to be me with my eyes closed, by the way. There's probably not going to be too much talking. So, the concept behind this album is basically, for those of you who don't know, Swans have been making music since the early 80s. Michael Gira is in his mid-70s, I think. And this album is basically him reflecting on the fact that he is nearing the end of his life. And it is basically an expression of the fear and very real regret of wasted time that comes with that. This album is very heavy and real, and I appreciate that they took a more stripped back approach on this album, especially in comparison to, say, The Glowing Man and To Be Kind and The Seer. With them being very large, explosive albums based on insane crescendos and walls of noise, having something so stripped back and raw and acoustic is such an odd and very dark change of pace that I think really was necessary for such heavy subject matter like this.
Come to me, feed on me, come to me, feed on me, come to me, feed on me, come to me, feed on me. I wonder what you want, I wonder where
I mean, come on. The fact that the most impactful moment of this song is where all of the music cuts out and it is just this depraved, he sounds so, starved at that bit, and he's just saying, come to me, feed on me, which, that could be referring to so many things. It could be an illness, it could be... Some people have talked about alcoholism. It could be just time in general and aging. This song is so efficient in terms of setting up the tone and the lyrical content for the album while still being so engaging and so dark. It's this is a very hopeless album, and having it start off with a song that sounds like this, that's so different from what you would expect from modern Swans, is very interesting. And I think it's it's like the first thing that made me realize when I was listening to this album that this was probably going to be one of my favorites of the year.
I wonder if I lost you. You were pulsing in my hand. Now the continents are shifting.
Yeah, I guess That in particular could be interpreted as alcoholism. The deeper into space, the smaller that you'll go, the more that you consume, the less you'll never know. That definitely seems like it could be referencing alcoholism there. That is about the best start you can get to an album like this. I mean, I feel like I said basically everything I needed to say during the song. It is about the most disturbing, dark, honest way you can start this album. It sets the tone and the sonic palette perfectly. It explores so many lyrical themes in just 8 minutes. Like death and addiction and I guess a reflection on life in general. And it's done all of that in just 8 minutes. This song is fantastic. It's amazing. It's about the best way this album could have started. I'm feeling... I'll give it a 10. Genuinely, I'm like sat here like thinking I'll give it a 9.8, but genuinely I have no problems with that song. It is legitimately actually perfect. It's so good. And it leads perfectly into track 2, which is Paradise Is Mine. Song's even longer than the last one. It's 9.5 minutes.
Now we lay in the mud, in the sea, deep beneath.
I'm liking that this song has a more denser. I'm liking that it has a denser instrumental than the previous one, where the first song felt like a perfect tone setter. This feels like a continuation and an expansion of that tone and sonic palette that we saw before, with a thicker instrumental, more, I guess, immediate than the previous song. It definitely feels more like a Swans track, if that makes sense.
You are
Forgot about these backing vocals, dude. It still has the very, like, primal elements that I loved about Swan's previous stuff, in particular, like To Be Kind. It still has a lot of that, but it's using it in a much different way. Where before it was trying to create something large and intense, but here it's more like trying to be unsettling. And I think it's doing it very well.
Is there really a mine? Is there really a mine? Am I ready to die? Is mine. Mine.
2 tracks in, and this album has already given me a whole album's worth of substance. Yeah, this song is expanding upon what the previous song set up, with the sonic palette, the very drab, dreary atmosphere, mixed with just like a very unsettling undertone. The previous song seemed to be establishing the fact that he is going to die, and this song seems to be him asking if he's ready to die. And I think, again, that's just such an interesting place to take this. This album actually surprisingly reminds me a lot of Black Star by David Bowie, they're both like completely different styles and tackle this subject in a very different way. But in terms of like the actual subject matter itself, having lived such long lives and being reflections on those lives and a look at their deaths. Of course, David Bowie was under very different circumstances, but it just reminds me a lot of that and the very hopeless, dark feeling that I got from Black Star. Yeah, this song's another 10 for me. Like, unironically, it is undescribable how good this is. Next track, Los Angeles, City of Death. The shortest song on this album, I think. Yeah, it's only 3 minutes.
Oh, we're drugged by the sun. Here he comes, here he comes. Here he comes, here he comes.
I like that this song is so immediate. I think that having a more fast-paced track in here is a really nice change of pace after the first two, and it's definitely like kind of needed, especially after how like slow and not tedious necessarily, but more, I guess, heavy the previous two are. Having one that's just like quicker and gets more straight to the point, I think is nice.
Flattening this land, scattering the sand.
Yeah, that track's solid as hell. It's again expanding on the concept of the album, taking it in a different direction with something more immediate and quick and I guess almost catchy, I suppose, which is strange to say for a Swans song, but it definitely, there is a very catchy quality about this, with it, especially with it only being 3.5 minutes. Yeah, that song is great. It's solid. It's probably my least favorite of the album so far. I think I'd give it a 9.6, but that's only because it isn't as like emotionally devastating as the previous two songs are. But outside of that, I think this track is absolutely fantastic. Up next, we have Michael Is Done. You know, when I first listened to this album, I thought that was a stupid ass title. Like when I first saw it, I was like, man, that's dumb as hell. This album's about death, and then it's called Michael Is Done. But then after listening to the song, it's like, okay, I see. It's not stupid.
There's a flame on his tongue.
Love the backing vocals from Jennifer Gira here. They really make the first half of the song. I forgot this bit came so early in the song. Jesus Christ. Yeah. That is the first moment on this album that really feels like a proper, like, Swans moment, I guess. It feels like that's that whole, what, like 4-minute section there, 3.5, 4 minutes. It's like one big payoff for the previous 3 tracks. It's incredible. That's one of the best moments on this whole album.
When Michael is gone, some other will come. Then Michael is done, is done, is done, is done.
That's the best song on the album up to this point, dude. Firstly, that whole 3.5, 4-minute instrumental section, that is like one of the best payoffs in any Swans track ever. Like, actually ever. like up there with the freaking section in The Glowing Man. It's so good. It's that's what you freaking want out of a Swans song, dude. You want that level of payoff, and it even goes above like some of the best moments on even like To Be Kind. It was always nice to have Jennifer Gira doing some backing vocals on a track as well, and I think again the lyrical content does such a great job of expanding on and pushing forward the concept and themes of the album up to this point. This song is a 10. Best song on the album up to this point, and my second favorite song on the album as a whole. That song is legitimate perfection. Next track, Unforming. This is one of the songs I remember the least. Never mind, I do remember this one. This one's kind of like a mix of Michael Is Done and the first song.
I can't feel my fingers, but I'm trying to breathe. But
Yeah, this definitely is like a mix of Michael Is Done and the Parasite. Like the very snowy, bright atmosphere of Michael Is Done mixed with the very roomy, spacey sound of the first track. This is probably the one I remember the least from the album since I first heard it.
I can't feel with these hands. I don't think with this mind. Just by thinking I'm here, I will soon disappear.
The first 4.5 minutes of this song, Jesus Christ, like, everything on this album has been so impactful, but this song in particular, this song feels, where the previous songs have been like, more of a look forward into death. This song seems to be more of a reflection, and I think that having this here is so important, having the balance of looking back and also looking forward is so necessary to how impactful and dark this album is. And this song is probably the best example of it outside of like the Beggar Lover 3. So yeah, the first 4.5 minutes of this song are amazing. Song is amazing. It's one of the most simple songs on the album. It's one of the slower ones too, but I feel like it's also one of the most impactful, and oh, that song hits. The song really hits. I'd give it a 9.8, and the only reason it doesn't get a 10 is because I feel like that final section where he's saying freedom could have been maybe extended by like another minute. Like, I definitely feel like it could have been expanded upon just a little bit, but outside of that, that song is like practically flawless. 5 tracks in, well, moving on to the 6th track, basically crossing over the halfway point in terms of the track listing at least. This album is so good. It's so good, and it only continues to get better. Sorry. Next track, The Beggar. Oh yeah, this song has a section that actually appears in The Beggar Lover, which also happens to be my favorite section in The Beggar Lover, so Ooh, that bass.
I'm sick of licking up your spit.
I said this was my favorite section in the Beggar. It's not my favorite, it's one of my favorites. The Beggar Lover, sorry.
I am a body gently spinning, now deliquescing in the wind. I am the poem that was written on the backside of your lips.
Yeah, I think what makes this work so well is how, like, unnerving it is, and how just so strange the instrumental is here. It's like coming after such a moment of, I guess, in terms of the instrumental, a moment of genuine beauty, moving into this, which is just so menacing and unnerving. I guess is sort of like, if the theme of this album and the lyrical content of this album was turned into just music form, where it's going back and forth between hope and optimism to a bleak misery at the fact that he is nearing the end of his life, I guess.
What if I steal the child inside you? Will I remember how to live? To survey their plowing in, I hear the whispering of angels. I see the dust is made of jewels. My love for you will never end.
I forgot about this bit. Yeah, that song is, that's your first real taste of, like, like, proper Swans on this album. It is just 10 minutes of the same instrumental, well, same two instrumentals, I guess. It has the slower, more, the dark and disturbing part, and then it has the bit where the guitars sort of come in and take over. I'm back. Damn it, man. I think the thing that makes this song so effective is how, like, dark the sound of it is, and how slow it is, and how menacing it is. Because it seems to be following the theme of moments of genuine hope and optimism, and then moments of fear and, what's the word? Kind of like, I guess, a sort of dreading what's coming. And this song seems to be, like, the, like, prime example of that, where it's just, it's so dark and off-putting and creepy, and yeah, I think it's practically perfect. I give this one, like, another 9.8. Next track, we have No More of This.
No more of this. No more of this. this, of this.
Again, like I was saying with the previous song, the album seems to be going back and forth between hopefulness and optimism and a very bleak, depressed state of, I guess, fear and or giving up. And this song seems to be more leaning into it's sort of like a mix of both. It has moments in here where it's like, how do I put it? It's like giving up, but also hopeful because the very painful, scared state that he is in, he won't be in any longer, I guess. That's kind of what I pull from this, especially in this next section. He's saying goodbye to people, he's saying that, like, he prays to heaven that they exist and stuff like that. So it's sort of like a perfect blend of some optimism and some very bleak hopelessness right here. I think it's done practically perfectly here.
Goodbye, Swans. I pray to heaven that you exist.
That whole final section there is like one of the best payoffs on this whole album. It's so just gorgeous and strange. It almost feels out of place, but it also works perfectly. Why am I getting pinged on Discord? Why? Yeah, that song is just another amazing, gorgeous, devastating moment on this album. And I am still being blown away by every single track, despite the fact that I've obviously already heard the album because it's my favorite album of the year. I'm just still so, like, in awe of how well they were able to pull this off. I give that song a 9.6. It's another fantastic cut. Next track we have Ebbing. It's an 11-minute song. Also, the pinned comment is true. You should 100% like and sub.
Under summer skies, the drunken tide will pull us in, unfolding, but not breathing, gestating, just dreaming, but not breathing on.
It's one of the simplest songs on the album. I really appreciate it, though. It's just an acoustic guitar, Michael Gira, and some really nice backing vocals. Forget what happens in the rest of the song. it gives you, like, for the first third of the song, it gives you just the most simple, stripped back sound on, like, any Swans track ever. It's nothing complicated, it's nothing too heady or intense. It's just an acoustic guitar, Michael Jura, and some backing vocals. The next 2/3 of the song are just that repeated again and again and again for, what, like 7 minutes, and it's like the best thing ever. It's like one of the best, in my opinion, one of the best drones on any Swans track. Song is another 10. Man, returning to this, I was kind of nervous, you know. I was like, what if I don't end up loving it as much? What if I end up like changing my mind and thinking that the Model Actress album is my album of the year? But like, for the first 8 tracks of this album, that has not been the case. Now, here's the funny thing. We only have 3 songs left, but we only just passed the halfway point of the album. Next track, Why Can't I Have What I Want Anytime That I Want? You'll see why it's only the halfway point on the next track.
This stupid smile.
This is like the one song on the album that I don't really remember anything about. Like, I didn't really remember much about Unforming that much, but then once I actually started listening to the song, I was like, okay, yeah, I remember bits of this. This song, I don't remember anything about it. Because it's one of the ones I haven't returned to since I first listened to the album, so... That bass line is immaculate. Okay, I remember this part. I love these backing vocals so much. Yeah. I can see why I didn't really end up remembering or returning to that one as much, as I feel like that track left like the least of an impact out of any song so far. Oh my god, I'm tired. Doesn't change the fact that it's still like a really solid, great ass track. I think the way this track progresses is really cool. I think, again, it still does a great job of pushing the concept further, but I do kind of feel like it could have been tightened up just a little bit. So, for that reason, I am going to give this one a flat 9. Lowest score I've given out so far. Listen, when the worst song on your album gets a flat 9, you're clearly doing something right, you know what I'm saying? Oh my god, here we are. Okay, next track, the 43, nearly 44 minute epic. Strap in, get ready. The song is 44 minutes, and we're gonna listen to the whole thing, and then we got another track after this as well. Track 10, The Beggar Lover 3. Starting off where the Glowing Man left off, which is so cool. I love that this song is like picking up where the Glowing Man left off. It's already been 2 minutes.
Slowly, it's taking me over, and eventually, I'll be completely transformed.
It's nice that Jennifer Jura gets the spotlight here.
A black shadow.
This is from Apostate. This is from the end of Apostate. So we've already had the Glowing Man and Apostate. I think there's bits from Bring the Sun in here and like Cloud of Unknowing as well. This whole song is basically just like a collage of like best moments from the Swans discography. God, I've already been recording for 2 hours. Still got another like 50 minutes of recording as well. I think this is from the Glowing Man again. Feels like certain elements from the Glowing Man, no, not like a specific part from it. Where the first bit was like directly after the song. There seems to be just like random elements from it being put together. Yeah, that's definitely Glowing Man. It's already been 8.5 minutes of this song, dude. Jesus Christ. You know, I actually watched there was a YouTube video where it was the Glowing Man and then this song, and they like transitioned into each other perfectly. It was an hour and 20 minutes. I listened to the whole thing. It's also my first time listening to this song with these actually good headphones instead of those crappy earphones. Yeah, this song seems to be mostly about the reflection element of this album, with it being right. I'm pausing. This is the first time I've paused throughout this whole video. I think that this song is not only a look, Michael Dura looking back at the legacy of Swans. It's him looking back at his life at the same time. He's talking, he seems to be reflecting on being a child here. He, throughout the song, reflects on his daughter and his career, and again brings in stuff from older Swans tracks, from albums like The Glowing Man and To Be Kind and The Seer, and I think there's even some stuff from like soundtracks for The Blind and some of their pre-hiatus stuff as well. So it definitely seems to be mostly about reflection on this song, which I think, for a 43-minute track on what is supposedly the final Swans album, having it be this trip down memory lane over a 40-year legacy. Exactly 40 years ago was when Filth came out, their first album, so having this in here as sort of like a love letter to Swans fans is really nice. Legitimately, that's like the first or second time I've paused in this whole video. Because I don't want to like talk over the song too much. I say as I'm talking over the song. These mandolins, I think? These mandolins are from a different song in the Swans discography as well. I don't remember what song, but they're from a different song. It has now been 12 minutes of this track, which is longer than any other song on this album. And then it brings the bit in from the Beggar again. I love how smoothly it transitions from section to section throughout this song. It's just so seamless, it makes so much sense, every single section is paced perfectly. Every 6 bars it does that. Which is really weird, because the song's in 4/4, so, well, this section is at least, so it makes more sense to do it every 4 bars, but it does that every 6 bars. The percussion on this song is amazing. It gets even better as the song goes along, but I know Thor Harris didn't do the drums on this album. He's the normal drummer for Swans. They had someone else on this album. I don't know the guy's name, but the percussion on this thing is insane. Like all throughout the album, but like this song in particular, the way he like incorporates elements of Apostate. He brings in this part from the Beggar. There's one bit in particular later on as well. This like particularly insane. I also really like that they're bringing back the section from the Beggar. This song serves as, again, like a look back at the Swans' discography, so having other parts from the album beyond this song is really nice. But one thing I do wish they did is there's a section that's in Bring the Sun that's also in The Glowing Man. There's just sort of like this intense wall of noise moment. It's in both of those songs. I really wish that was in here, because then that would sort of like, you know, that would like fully bridge all three of the songs. I guess this does sort of feel like a replacement for it though, where it's just sort of the same thing. I think this section lasts, what, like 7-8 minutes? I've not really talked about this either. The production on this album is so good. It's just, the freaking mixing on this thing is insane. Particularly like the low end, like the bass all throughout this album is like actually perfect. Every freaking time I listen to this song, I just end up counting out the bars for when the bell hit's gonna come in. I never like actually focus on the song, I'm just counting the bars. This happens every freaking time I return to this song. Seeing this song performed live would actually be wild. Just this whole 43-minute track, all of it live. That'd be insane. This section's already been going like nearly 6 minutes. We're nearly 18 minutes into the song. I forgot about that. Yeah, when I said the percussion throughout this track gets even crazier as it goes along, this is one of the sections I meant. I know this was also in the title track, but like it's just so well recorded. Like that snare is so intense. We're reaching the end of this section now. It's been 8 minutes of the section from the title track. The way that synth just is fully taken over the track. This is when the choir vocals comes in, isn't it? Like I said, seamless transitions between every single section. Every section is the perfect length, it's perfectly paced, and the way it transitions between such different instrumentals is incredible. We just crossed the halfway point of the song, we're 22 minutes in. It's insane, man, that's like the quickest 22 minutes of my life. Transitions into the I think this transitions into the bit with the like the shoes tapping on the ground. I think it's the poem next, and then it's the shoes. Oh yeah, we have like this bit where just Michael's making noises. What are your thoughts on this song so far? We're 25 minutes into it. I'm interested to see what people think of this. Oh yeah, the poem happens with the shoes tapping. I completely forgot about that. I thought it was one then the other, but no, they're both part of the same section. I don't know if this is meant to be like shoes tapping or like a... The sudden appearance of vocals and it being a child's voice is so unnerving. It's so weird. Because when you expect vocals, you expect it to be either Michael Gira or Jennifer Gira. You expect it to be either Michael Gira or Jennifer Gira. And I think that's either Michael's daughter or his granddaughter or something in that recording. Again, perfect transitions between each section. This is probably a bit of a stretch, but this baby crying sound, it's not really, I don't know what that sound's meant to be, but it's definitely a baby. Is that meant to be like the baby from To Be Kind? Is that what that's meant to be? Because if this song is like meant to be reminiscing on Michael Gira's life and like Swans as a whole, having this baby sound in here, I guess, might be representative of To Be Kind. Because you don't really have, I don't think there's any moments from To Be Kind on this song. As I was saying, there's sections from The Glowing Man, there's sections from Leaving Meaning, and The Seer, and I think there's some from soundtracks as well. But I don't think there's any, there's The Glowing Man, I don't think there's any from soundtrack, sorry, To Be Kind. So I imagine that's what the baby is meant to represent To Be Kind, because seeing as there's no actual, like, parts from that album specifically. Unless there is, and I've just not picked up on it. So there might be some from a song like Chester Bennett or something, and just like a section I don't remember. We are 30 minutes into this song. That is insane. But yeah, The Glowing Man seems to be the biggest, like, connection to this album. Because The Glowing Man has showed up, or sections from The Glowing Man, like the song The Glowing Man specifically as well. Sections from that song have shown up 4 times throughout the album so far. There was the beginning, then you've had bits where this choir section are in here, and then there's been some of like the synth bass from that album and stuff like that, and some of like the guitars. Yeah, when I'm talking about like the percussion being insanely good on this album, I'm mostly referring to moments like this, where it's just like a timpani on its own. Then it moves into the best section of the entire song. Here comes the best section of the song. I'm not gonna lie, the final like 10 minutes of this song is like the best part of this whole album. Maybe the best section in any Swans song, except for like that one bit towards the back half of The Glowing Man. And it still might even be better than that.
I can see it, but not see it. I can feel it, but not keep it.
One of my favorite bass lines on like any song ever.
I can reach it, but won't touch it.
2 hours and 40 minutes of recording, Jesus Christ.
I will lose it, but I'll keep it in the shadow, in the light pool.
Yeah, that is one of the best bass lines ever, right there. And the glockenspiel too. It is adding so much to this. And I like the fact that we're getting an outro where it's like Michael Gira is on it for the entire time. It's not just like a little like 2-3 minute section of it has him in and the rest of it's instrumental. He is on the entire final portion of this song. Just past the 40-minute mark on this song. It does not feel like it's been 40 minutes. Feels like it's been like 15. It's because of how well paced it is. The thing that makes this song is the incredible pacing. Every section is the perfect length. at the perfect tempo. They transition into each other so well. Such a great example of a fade out as well. Like an actually good fade out. Who is atting me, dude? That song serves as two things. Firstly, it is a celebration of the 40-year catalogue of Swans as it comes to an end, supposedly, with this album. And it's also the centerpiece of this album. It is the longest song by 32 minutes. Okay, it's the longest song in the band's entire catalog. It is like 44 minutes. That is insane. Like, even their second longest song, Bring the Sun, is only 34 minutes. Like, that's... Every single section of this song works so well, whether it's something new from the album, whether it's a section taken from an older song, like The Glowing Man, or Apostate, or Cloud of Unknowing. It's so well paced. It doesn't overstay. It doesn't drag at all. At 44 minutes, there is not a moment of this song that drags, that feels like it could have been shortened or like it's out of place. It does such a good job at reflecting on the band's history, reflecting on Michael Gira's life as a whole, and is such a great transition point into the final track, which we'll get onto in a second. That is the second best song in the entire Swans catalog, only beaten out by the title track on The Glowing Man, in my opinion. That song is a 10, and it is my favorite song from this year. It is hands down the best song of the year. The best song of the year on the best album of the year. We got one more song to go. Last track. This one's shorter. It's only 8.5 minutes. Final song, track 11, The Memorious. Oh yeah, this song has the baby sound from the last track in it. I like that we're getting a very, like, immediate and, like, almost explosive song to close off the album. Normally it would end on, like, a slower moment, but it's not. It's, like, very fast-paced to close it off. The light just reflected in my eye as I looked to my right, and I thought it was someone stood next to me. That scared me so bad. The song does a great job of, like, building tension as it goes along. It starts already so fast-paced, but it builds, it like ramps up the tension even more as it goes along. That song is a very good closer to this album, but I feel like the Beggar Lover 3 should have been the closer, and this should have come right before it. That is, like, my only complaint with this finale. Because the Beggar Lover 3 is such an incredible celebration of the band's legacy. It's a 40-year, on the dot, 40-year legacy. Having that 44-minute track that celebrates that much history be the final moment on what is probably the final album from the band would have been such a great way to close this, and I wish that's the way they went. The Memorious is a great song. I think it works so well in this album, and I think it's like so well paced. I like that you get a very immediate song that's more explosive, that's more in your face, and just constantly builds and builds and builds until the very end. It doesn't let up once. I think Michael Gira gives an incredible performance on this track. The writing as well is fantastic. It's just, I think it should have come before the Beggar Lover 3. But my overall score for this song is a 9.6. That's my overall score for this song. And that was The Beggar by Swans. Yeah, that is my album of the year. I'm quickly gonna add up my scores, and then I am going to tell you what my overall score for the album is. Sounds about right. I am feeling a 9.7 out of 10 on this album. This thing is so good. It's amazing. It's like the perfect. If this is the final Swans album, then it is the perfect send off for the band. I think this has some of the best moments of any Swans album, particularly the Beggar Lover 3, and even songs like Michael Is Gone, and the Memorious at the end here, Paradise Is Mine. Like, every single moment of this album is just, like, practically perfect. There's only a few moments where I feel like it either drags a little bit, or it's just a little too short and could have been expanded on a little bit. Those are literally my only complaints with the album, and they are basically nitpicks. This album is a masterpiece. It is my favorite album of the year. Let me know what your favorite album of the year was down in the comments below. Also, let me know what your thoughts on this album were. Check back in to see my other year-end videos, favorite movie of the year, favorite TV show of the year, stuff like that. Yeah, subscribe. We're trying to hit 500 subs hopefully by February, and I will see you all whenever I next stream or upload. Goodbye.